Hello and welcome back to Politically Incorrect. I'm Tom Christiano. And the reason lately I've been using all three names is because a lot of people tell me they've known me so long as Tom, they prefer to use Tom. And when I'm saying Tom Christiano, I'm letting everybody know that if you want to call me Tom, that's perfectly okay. If you want to call me Carmen or Carm, that's fine too. So if you hear me say three names in the future, that's why. Just because I want to make you more comfortable if you say something to me, and I'm letting you know Tom is fine if you want to use that name. So we have a great panel on the show tonight. All these people are very involved in the town of Chelmsford, and we're going to talk primarily about Chelmsford issues tonight. With me tonight we have Chris Garrahan for the 14th time on the show. Hi Chris, how are you?
Hi Carmen, very good.
Good, good. So as everyone may know, Chris Garrahan is the chairperson of the Chelmsford Conservation Commission, and a past member of the Chelmsford Planning Board for a long time, and a current town meeting representative, right?
That's right.
You're still the current.
That's right, Tom.
Because I saw you at town meeting, I remember, from across the hall. We were looking at each other. So thanks for being here again, Chris.
It's great to be here.
And for the first time on the show, we have Christine Sharbrough on the show tonight. How are you, Christine?
I'm great.
And thanks for being on the show, Christine. This is your first time on the show. And you are a fairly new employee at the Chelmsford Library, right? How long has it been now?
Just about 6 weeks.
About 6 weeks, wonderful. And we'll talk later about all the programs and how much you love the Chelmsford Library and what a great town Chelmsford is, right?
Absolutely.
We got to get all that out of you in just 6 weeks. But, well, thanks for being here, Christine.
Thank you.
And we have my friend Jeff Apostolakes with us tonight.
Absolutely.
Also for the first time on the show. Thanks for being here, Jeff.
It's a pleasure being here.
We talked about it, I think, over a year ago, and you talked about someday I'm going to come on your show. And
yeah, absolutely.
Finally, we got the right time when there was no national election going on, and I know we could talk about the open space issues.
Sure. Everyone
probably knows Jeff is a very active open space steward here in Chelmsford. Also, a newly elected about a year ago town meeting representative in Precinct 9,
exactly,
which is the same precinct I'm a representative in. So thank you very much for being on the show. Jeff, we'll talk about a lot of the issues that you're involved with. Thanks.
Absolutely.
And also for the first time on the show, after I want you to have you on the show for a long time, Evan Belansky. Thanks for being here, Evan.
Thank you.
Evan, as everyone knows, is our Community Development Director here in Chelmsford. And how long have you been here now? It's been a while, right, in Chelmsford?
Approaching 6 years.
6 years
so
already, wow.
It's been a good time.
Time flies. Was it Andy before you, Andy Sheehan?
Yeah, Andy Sheehan
who was here
with about 13 years prior to me. Yep.
And you just, as every town meeting, I guess, you always make presentations, right? You had quite a presentation last time, didn't you? Oh yeah, about buying the 20 acres and all of that. I think you were up there about that, right?
Yeah, usually once every town meeting, I'm presenting a couple zoning articles.
And how do you stay so calm when you're up there?
You have to get into the special zone. I can't give you the secrets.
It's no little tranquilizer before or anything? No drink? No?
Nothing like that. Nothing like that.
No, you're very calm. That's wonderful.
Sure, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you do a nice job.
Thank you.
Speak very calmly and nicely to everybody and clearly. So
good.
It's great to have you on the show, all
Glad
of
to
you, and Chris to be back again this year. Maybe if we could start with you, Evan, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Since you're the Community Development Director, we have a big open space in the center of town now, the Stop and Shop Plaza, where they moved out. They built the new Stop and Shop on Chelmsford Street, and there's the Marshalls who have moved out, so it's basically empty space over there. And we do have the new CVS is finally up and open and landscaped and looking great. So what, if anything, can you tell us about that possible use of the Stop and Shop Marshalls Plaza?
Sure. Well, the town's vision is pretty clear. Both the 2010 master plan and the 2011 affordable housing plan envision introducing housing opportunities on that site for a strategic benefit to the downtown, benefiting the businesses, trying to provide some additional places for residences to live within the downtown to create some vibrancy. So although that's the vision, unfortunately the property isn't zoned accordingly for housing opportunities. So with the recent opportunity of the Stop and Shop and Marshalls vacating the building, the town and the property owner have been engaged in conversations over the last 12 months, trying to explore opportunities that include housing as well as retail opportunities. So those conversations are still ongoing. Obviously, as anyone can imagine, real estate development is a complicated issue. Even when everyone agrees, it can be complicated. In this particular case, it's a little bit more complicated in the sense that it's a large property, about 9 acres, right in downtown. It has a high value, not only for the property owner but for the town. And there's a lot of competing interests. So we're still hopeful that the town's vision can come to fruition. It would certainly take town meeting action to rezone it.
Rezone it, yeah. Might that come up in April? Or we don't know?
Unlikely.
Unlikely?
Unlikely. A project of that size would take a lot longer than 4 to 6 months. In order to do it right, you'd need a lot of neighborhood and community input sessions to make sure that the project was meeting the town's goals and objectives, that it had local support by town meeting members in the neighborhood. So that would be a fairly lengthy process, but one that would certainly be worthwhile.
Yes.
So we're hopeful sooner than later that the property owner indicates their willingness or interest to move in that direction.
Have they responded at all thus far in terms of, a lot of people talked about small shops, retail shops on the bottom floors and some sort of housing up above. And you've talked to the owners of the property about things like that? And if so, what have they said?
They've not responded to any particular proposal or vision that we've discussed. They're in the process of finalizing their due diligence. So as you can imagine, Stop and Shop is a large corporation. They're owned by a Alted, which is a company out of the Netherlands. So that in of itself is a complicating factor. They've explored a variety of options that meet their needs, and their needs are primarily value-driven. And that's where the ultimate challenge will be, is whether the town's vision via a developer, a private for-profit developer, can meet their value system. If not, then it's likely that the property retains its retail component, and whether that retail component is simply re-tenanting the existing structures or a combination of demolition and new construction remains to be seen.
Yes, yeah. Great, thanks, Evan. Does anybody have any comments about that space in the center before we move on? By the way, how do you like being the community development director so far?
Oh, I enjoy it. Chelm's is a great community, a lot of civic engagement, civic pride, and you don't see that in a lot of communities.
Oh, you don't? No?
No, at least not from my position.
Yeah.
And if there is engagement, it's a lot of negative engagement. But in Chelmsford, there's tremendous positive energy, great volunteerism, and that's what really drives the community. All the boards who are appointed are volunteers. Even the elected officials volunteer a lot of their time. It's a lot of hard work.
Yes.
So the boards and committees do a great job.
Yeah.
And staff, in my position, is here to support.
Yeah.
Where there's a cause.
And you have a new assistant, right, Allison?
Yeah, Allison LaFleur is the new conservation agent and planner. So she's been on board approaching about 6 months now.
How's she doing?
She's doing great. She's getting out and meeting people in the community, getting out to see the open space and reservations, and working hard.
Did she come on the Thanksgiving walk? Yeah, she did.
She did, yes.
With you.
Yes.
We had the day before Thanksgiving walk again this year, Thanksgiving Forest. Over 250 people attended that. It was wonderful, right? Because we had nice weather that day.
That was a great time.
A great turnout.
Yeah.
The Chelmsford Conservation Commission kind of controls that land, right, per se.
That's right, yeah.
But the open space stewards put a lot of work together, putting that particular event together, along with many other events in town. So Chris spoke a little bit at that Thanksgiving walk, and I did a little bit too, as a media kind of person, I guess. And Becky Warren, a local historian, gave a nice talk to the president of Chelmsford Historical Society. So it was a great time, and thanks for coming, Evan. And hopefully
that was my first time out there. That was a great event.
It was fun. Yeah, it's very low key. You just basically walk for about a mile. You have some, if you want, hot chocolate and cookies. Listen to Becky speak and Chris.
Right.
And then just talk to other people in town, your neighbors, your friends, and wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. That's about it. That's very simple.
Great bonfire.
Great bonfire,
that
yeah,
bonfire
yeah.
up.
Nice bonfire. So we'll just move on to some other things, and then we'll come back to everybody. I thought we can go to Christine Sharbrough next. And Christine, so you've been at the library, what, about 6 weeks now, right? So it's like 6 months, 6 weeks. Any 6 years here? No? 6 days? Nope. So Christine, how do you like it at the library thus far? Working with Becky Herman, the library director, and all the wonderful people there?
It's fabulous. I have the best job. I don't want anybody to know that I actually get paid for doing this because
Oh,
I'm
that's
having so much
wonderful.
fun.
That's so wonderful, great. And what exactly is your job? What's the title first, and then what does it involve?
I'm the head of reader services, which essentially means that I talk to people about all sorts of things that the library has to offer, and we're thinking about how we can build a personalized recommendation service for patrons who are interested in getting continuous recommendations for books that they like to read by authors they may not have heard of.
Wow. And I understand, because I'm a library trustee, and so I have meetings with Becky Herman and the other trustees once a month. She was saying how much you read, too, all these books that you read, and so you can make recommendations because you've actually read so many of these books.
Yeah, actually, in my interview, they asked me to be prepared to do a book talk, and I had to bring 3 because I couldn't choose. So I brought a children's book that I really liked, and a kind of a YA adult crossover book that I really liked, and then another adult novel that I really liked, and then I bombed through all 3 of them, and she said they all took a nap after I left.
Because it was so involving.
Well,
right?
I was so excited because, you know, I have a really hard time making choices because I want it all, I like it all, and I read it all.
That's fantastic. Wow. So do you have any presentations lined up for yourself that you give about, or do you do it individually, one-on-one, in terms of consulting with the patrons of the library?
Well, I spend a lot of time walking around the floor, talking to people and, you know, finding out what they like. And collection development in the fiction area and the main floor of the library is a large part of what I do. So we're trying to make sure that we have a lot of the core things that public libraries should have, but also have things that make Chelmsford unique. Like every library, since we belong to a large consortium, we do not need every book by every author that was ever written, but we do cater as a public library in the community to the wants of the community. And so it's helpful for me to get out on the floor and talk to folks because that's how I elicit information about what they're interested in.
And do you order the new books, the new
Yes.
fiction books, the new nonfiction books? Wonderful. That's great. I'll have to contact you then when I have some ideas, right? Because I don't want to buy them myself. I always get my books and CDs through the library.
Yeah, and I welcome that kind of information. I have my contact information is on the library's webpage. And people can always feel free to email me if there's a book that they feel like we should have or an author that they feel is not represented. I'd be thrilled to know what it is so we can pull it in.
CDs as well?
Yep, CDs, and
I
we're
sent
also, we have DVDs and TV,
And
TV
DVDs as well,
series and audiobooks, and we're starting a nice adult graphic novel collection.
Oh, nice,
Which is kind of like comic
never
books.
gotten-
Comic books for adults, but
I've never
Really?
gotten into that, but I
Yeah.
guess a lot of people love them, right?
well, you know, I was a real rebel in high school, not that you may know that, but I didn't like any of the classics. But you read I just read Jane Eyre, actually, in graphic novel, and I thought, ooh, I think I'm going to go back and read the original one now because it's a really, you know, pictorial representation of the story, so it makes it a little less drab.
You
see
will
it.
probably won't believe this, but I actually have Jane Eyre on my coffee table right now that I just borrowed from the library.
What a coincidence
It-
there.
I know, you probably don't believe it, right? But the reason I have it is because I was reading the New Yorker magazine, and there was a little summary about Jane Eyre and how young ladies who were like servants weren't even allowed to read a book at all like that, you know, and the guy, the aristocrat child, right, would say, "What are you doing reading that?" to this poor young girl who's just trying to read a little bit.
Right.
And so I thought, wow, this is interesting, the way people lived back then. So that's why I ordered the book. And I have I'm reading up Peter Townsend's book, the biography, Peter Townsend of The Who.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really interesting.
Yeah.
You're aware of that,
Oh,
right,
yeah,
that book?
yeah.
But people may not know, but anyway, you go to the homepage of Chelmsford Library, and there's something, it's like Anytime, Library Anytime or something, and you click on that, and then you could put in orders for books that maybe the library doesn't have in stock, or CDs or DVDs. So I don't know if you got it, but I put in a couple of orders for CDs a while ago, but hopefully the library will let me know if they come in.
Yeah. Well, usually what we do with patron requests is if we order the book, we put the patron's name on it so that when it comes through technical services and gets into the collection, it automatically goes right out the door to you, so you have it.
Wonderful.
So if that hasn't happened, you and I will have to touch base.
Yeah, just some CDs. I don't see. But sometimes I watch these groups on late night TV, the musical groups, and a lot of them, they're maybe not big with national albums yet. So sometimes if the group is really good, like one, I think their name was LP, you know, you would think about. So I put in an order for that a while ago, but I don't think it came in yet. But sometimes I want to see what do they really sound like for the whole album, because I know that one song they did on Letterman Show was fantastic, or something like that.
Yeah.
But well, thank you. Later on, Christine, we'll talk about the one book program and some other things. But maybe we'll talk to Jeff and Chris for a minute, and then Evan, and come back to you, and we'll kind of go around and talk to everybody. Oh, does anybody want to ask Christine anything before we move on?
So, what was the process to go about ordering a book, or?
Well, the Chelmsford Library homepage, you have that, right? Maybe bookmarked, I hope. So you go there, and then there's a little block on the right-hand side. It says Library Anytime, something like that. And you just click on that. And then once you click on that, there's a whole bunch of things you could do, one of which is put in a request to purchase, right? Request to purchase. And you just fill out this form very quickly.
Oh, that's fabulous.
You know, with your library number and things, and that's about it. It's very simple.
Oh, great.
It's great. I remember the old days. I remember the 80s and 90s, well, before everybody had PCs. And I used to fill out a lot of forms to put in requests for books. There's little pieces of paper and the old days.
You're 25th in line.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, thank you, Christine. I'll be back, hopefully. So, Jeff, can we talk to you for a minute?
Sure,
Jeff's an open space steward, town meeting representative.
Yeah, lots going on.
Yeah, what would you like to talk about first? The current open space stewardship projects in town. You want to talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, the open space stewards, we're keeping very, very busy, as we always do. And fall's a fun time for us. You know, we always kick off the holiday seasons with the Pumpkin Armada down at Hart Pond.
That was well attended.
Oh,
this year more than ever, right?
Yeah, more than ever. I would say there had to be about 200, 250 people, but it's a lot of fun because everybody lines the beach, and usually Phil Stanway, myself, and this year Ken Dews were out in the water with our waders on, albeit they had holes in them, but it's beautiful, and to see the little kids smile. So it's a nice family event that we hope grows every single year.
Which is nice. Actually, I noticed a lot of the young people wear Halloween costumes, and some adults as well. So I've attended them just about every year, but next year I'm thinking I'm gonna like paint my face or something. I gotta do something really strange, you know, like Joanne Stanley painted her face really nice this year.
Oh, Joanne, she gets involved.
It came out great. And then, this year too, they had pizzas that they were selling like $1 a slice or something.
Yeah, the Girl Scouts showed up and did a wonderful job there on hot coffee, hot chocolate, pizzas, and baked goods. So it's getting bigger, and it's a lot of fun.
It's fantastic. So the open space stewards, I guess I've been involved with them ever since they started. Phil Stanway has got in touch with me. We talk, and I help promote a lot of what they're doing. It's so fantastic.
Oh, it is.
You and Phil Stanway and all the stewards put in so much work. Jim Trebo, remember Jim?
Oh, Jim
Trebo,
is
he's
incredible.
like 70. You know, he won't mind me saying this. I know it's about 72, 73 years old. He's out there cutting the grass at the Red Wing Farm and doing so much work.
He's in better shape than all of us.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and all that volunteer, hour after hour volunteer work. And what you've done over Red Wing Farm to transform that, which is over on Maple Road in South Chelmsford, was fantastic. It's beautiful. And
you think about, I believe the town. You know, the funding that we get is a whopping $500 a year from the town, and then some additional funds from CPC, and the rest is volunteer. But you take that, and we figured about the return on the investments of probably about in excess of like $90,000 worth of labor and time and all that. And but the thing is, the stewards really, really enjoy getting out. I know when I was asked to be a steward, talking to Paul Cohen and Phil Stanway, of course. One of the things that really attracted me to it was the fact that you get to meet a lot of people and talk to a lot of people, find out a lot about the town and hear what's going on. And it's really satisfying to get out there and, again, work with the people and just see people smile, enjoying the open spaces in town. So
it's amazing. And you have, how many open space parcels are you taking care of now, the open space
There's a
stewards?
total of 18.
18, wow.
18, yeah. And
how many stewards do we have?
currently we have about 20 active
Yeah,
stewards.
20 active.
And at any one time, if we are doing a big project, Phil's great as far as Phil Stanway rounding up the troops, and we'll get upwards of anywhere from 50 sometimes to 70 people to come out and
Wow.
and participate in some of the projects that Phil has lined up. We're always looking for stewards.
Yeah,
That's
right.
one
You
thing that
mentioned-
Phil and I and everybody has talked about. As there's more and more projects around, and as we get these crazy storms that come through, and we're always out there cleaning up and helping out. So yeah, we're looking for anybody that's interested in helping out or being a steward. It's a very rewarding experience. They can contact Phil Stanway and/or myself, and I'll connect them with Phil.
Yeah.
And then
And you're listed under the town meeting representatives
Yes.
list for Precinct 9, Jeff Apostolakes. Is your phone number also in the phone book, Jeff?
Yes, it
Probably
is.
great.
Yes, it is.
And also people could send me an email too if you want. Say you don't remember Jeff's name or something. You could just send me an email and say, I'd like to volunteer as a steward, and I'll get that right over to Phil and Jeff.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
we'll talk more about things you're working on in a couple
Absolutely.
minutes. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
And Chris, if we could talk to you as the chairperson of the Chelmsford Conservation Commission, how long have you been on the Conservation Commission now, by the way?
That's a good question. It's been a long time, probably could be close to 20 years now, to be honest.
20 years,
I mean,
really?
I did probably 8 or 9 years for kind of a first tour of duty. Then I went over the planning board for 6 years, and then I've been back on for maybe another 5 or 6 years, the second time. So.
And how long have you been the chairman at this current time? Just
Well,
one-
this year I became chairman in June. I was chairman a couple of times back, my first tour of duty, back in the, it's kind of funny because when I first got on Concom, I had my little guy was like 2 years old, and he used to follow me around on the site walks, and then my daughter used to follow us around, and Sue Carter was with us, and she had her dog, and we would go out and do the site walks. And now, like 20 years later, the kids are out of college or in college, and it's just gone by in a flash.
Wow, wow.
But
And how do you like it? How often do you meet? Every couple of weeks, once a month?
we have a meeting usually twice a month.
Twice a month, yeah.
Usually it's twice a month, and generally we usually get out maybe to get out to the site walks maybe once a month. And that's actually a fun thing where we get out as a group, and we typically go out. There's usually a project that's proposed, so we get out into the wetlands, in the swamp, and check the wetlands line to make sure that everything looks good, and see if there's any issues out in the field. And it's great. You look at the plans and you spread those big plans out on the desk, and it's not until you actually get out in the field and see the terrain and really get a feel for what's going on. So
Wow.
it's a good thing to get out there, and I enjoy that part of it a lot.
And how many members are on the Conservation Commission? Is
We've
it
got seven on the commission.
Great.
7, yeah, it's a good
Well,
group.
One of the big issues that your commission has been involved with lately takes place right here at Parker School. As everybody in town knows, there was a mistake made outside with tree cutting. Originally, the tree cutters were told to cut within 15 feet of the school, and nobody was there to supervise them, and they cut like around 100, 150 feet or whatever.
Oh boy.
Right.
So, Chris, what's your overall thought about that, your perspective? And what happened? Were you aware that that was going to happen? Somebody was going to come in and cut down all these trees?
I think Tom, you've got a good explanation. There was an understanding that there were some tree branches that were hanging over the building that were supposed to be trimmed back, and the work was supposed to be within 15 feet of the building for safety reasons. And then, as you said, somehow or other, the contractor ended up cutting trees down that were hundreds of feet away from the building, which was very very misfortunate, and a great loss that we found out about after the fact. And so, and at that point, though, I mean, as you said, mistakes were made, and the town really, I think, stepped up and took responsibility for what happened, and we moved forward to put together a plan to mitigate any damage. So very quickly, we moved in, and the town put in erosion control barriers to make sure that the water in the stream here at the school was protected, because we've got town drinking water that's just downstream, not that many, less than a mile away. So you want to protect the water quality. So quickly, we moved in and got those control barriers in place, and then very quickly put a mitigation plan together to reseed areas and to you really protect the resources. And you know, and I feel good about the way the towns come together to address the situation. And then going forward in January, the DPW is going to be back in front of Conservation with very detailed plans, kind of the long-term plans for you know, plantings and for putting trees in, to replace trees we're taking down. And so I think a lot of us feel that there's a lot of progress going on. So yeah, it was bad, it's unfortunate it happened, but I think working together as people are doing, and you know, I think it's going to be, we'll have something at the end that'll be a project that people are going to be really happy with the way things look here at Parker Middle School.
And it probably will look better than what we had before.
I think
right?
so. I think honestly it will be better. It's going to be, aesthetically it's going to look better. I think there's going to be some, you know, some additions as far as recreational values as well too. We'll have maybe even better water quality control. So it, you know, I'm really optimistic about what's going to come of it. And we've got the schools, you've got the DPW, the town, resources, people working together on this thing, and I'm optimistic it's going to be good.
Wonderful. Well, thanks, Chris. I'll be back later with other questions and topics, but Evan, maybe if we can come back to you for a minute. That is there's a big issue in town in terms of the home occupation bylaw. As all the town meeting reps know, a new bylaw proposal came up at our last fall town meeting, and it seemed like it was going to be so lengthy and so complicated and so many little amendments going to be proposed that it was decided to table it at that time and come back maybe at a later date, maybe the spring town meeting, maybe later. So Jeff, you being the community development director are right on top of all that, right, in terms of this proposed bylaw? Could you tell us what's going on with that now?
Sure. So the planning board intends on bringing that back for spring town meeting. They're in the process of reaching out to several of the specific town meeting members who had the most vocal concerns, and I believe their planning board is attempting to invite them to the December meeting to kind of do a workshop, talk over the issues so that there's a mutual understanding as to what the issues are, what the concerns are, and hopefully identify mutual resolutions. So that the planning board feels confident in revisiting that for spring town meeting.
That would be great. So therefore, you might come in with a bylaw this time without maybe so many people proposing amendments to it, which would take an exorbitant amount of time if we did that. I'm so glad this was tabled like it was, because it was a two-night town meeting as it was, right? We didn't want to go 3 or 4, I guess. So
no,
that's great.
Please not.
Yeah, zoning is complicated in and of itself, even when you have a fairly smooth town meeting process. But in the instance where there are amendments, and in this case multiple amendments, you know, the planning board certainly did the right thing. I mean, I can't imagine the majority of town meeting members wanting to go through the process of 4 individual amendments on the floor. And that would get even more confusing and more complicated, and at that point, you know, the article is bound to fail when there's a lot of confusion on the floor. So it makes sense for you know, withdraw it and then start afresh.
Well, that'd be great. And I guess Jeff and Chris and myself as town meeting reps will be there to hear about it and hopefully vote yes on it if it's a good bylaw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thanks, Evan. Maybe if we could ask Christine a question again or two. And there's every year we have a one-book program here in Chelmsford, right? We're in. The town usually votes on one particular book that we want the whole town to read, and then very often we invite the author to come in and talk about it. Could you tell us a little bit about the one-book program for this year? And I guess you have it here, right?
I did bring it.
Okay.
From the Chelmsford Library. This year's one-book selection is a memoir, which kind of deviates slightly from the normal selections. And it's by Andre Dubus III, whose father was also a very well-known writer and has some local interest, being that he was living in Haverhill and Newburyport and kind of Essex County in general. It is a little gritty, so we're going to be doing some programming with the high school, more on memoir writing and things, and the author is coming in to speak at the school in April. And we are going to have some other programming done. You'll have to check our library website to finalize. We're still finalizing dates. But one of the themes that runs through this book pretty heavily is father-son relationships, and so we are going to have someone from Mass General that's going to come in and give a talk on father and child relationships,
Wonderful.
which we think is going to be pretty good. And we're going to have some other programs surrounding other themes that are in the book. So.
And he'll be speaking, I understand, at McCarthy Auditorium this year, right? The
Yeah.
author will come in and speak to whoever wants to come. Hopefully everybody will come.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, when you have a book, you really need to see the author speak, because you do get a lot of the backstory.
Yes,
And if you're a fan of his father's writings, the son actually gives you kind of an insight into his father's life and the life of a really prominent literary figure in the area. So it is, and of course I went around and was like, oh, hey, oh, I know that place. Hey, I know that. So, you know, it's got a lot of local interest to it. So I think people will enjoy it.
Oh, I hope so. Did you enjoy the book yourself?
I have. I read it a while ago,
You have it, yeah.
and I'm reading it again.
Yeah.
And I really like it. It's pretty fast-paced, and it's a really fascinating look at family relationships.
Nice,
So,
nice.
although, like I said, a little gritty. But
Well, thank you. Yeah, and by that you mean some of the language might.
yeah, and some of the
tough.
scenarios in there are a little grittier. I
Does
mean,
some involve drugs or something? Or no?
you
Not
know,
much?
I don't want to give it all away.
Okay, yeah.
See, you'll just have to read it and find
Yes.
out.
Oh, will we have paperbacks to give out like we do every year?
Yes,
Of the-
yes.
Great, wonderful.
They're going to be, I believe, at the kickoff of Winterfest.
Winterfest, yeah.
Yeah.
And this year, I believe, for people who don't know, the kickoff will be at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts.
Right.
Usually that Friday night, we would kick off at the library, and there'd be a nice gathering. Some of the local restaurants are bringing food, but this year, it's going to be at our newly renovated Chelmsford Center for the Arts. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting. Well, thank you so much, Christine. I'll be back later.
Okay.
And maybe if we can go to Jeff now. Jeff, every year you and your family host a nice, the Ryan's Run,
the
right?
Ryan's Run, yeah.
Could you talk a little about that?
Sure, absolutely. It's called the Chelmsford Police 5K Memorial Road Race, and it's called the Run for Ryan's Cup, and in honor of my son Ryan, who passed back in 2003. And my wife and I, we decided, during the time to take our energy and put it towards something really positive. And other than donating a lot of our time down at Hart Pond, what else could we do?
Yeah.
And we just went back to the day of the tragedy, and then following that, talking to a lot of the emergency personnel there, and just seeing the concern and the pain within their eyes and everything. And we said, what can we do to help them out and help the community out? So we had talked to the chief of police at the time, and decided to do a 5K road race, with all the proceeds going back to the Chelmsford Police Department. And those proceeds were to purchase defibrillators and help put some of the defibrillators around town, and also to get children more involved with the police department through the PAL programs, and in that way they're a little bit more connected to the community. And so every year the race gets bigger. We try to do some different things. This year we had the race course certified for the more serious runners.
Wow.
So we'll start to see more runners come in, but there's also your average runners like myself, and well, maybe not so much like myself, but and then walkers alike, and make it a great family day.
How long is it, Jeff? How long is the course?
The course is it's a 5K, which is for 3.2, about 3.2 miles.
And how many runners and walkers did you get this year?
This year we, I'm pretty sure it was about 234 total.
Nice.
And probably close to 300 show up, and then we also people donate money, and it all goes back to the police department.
That's a wonderful event.
Yeah.
Is it usually around the same time of year?
Yeah, it's usually
September?
run every the second or third week in September.
Nice.
And we've been fortunate where we've had fantastic weather for the past 8 years that we've been running this. 9 years. Next year will be the 10th year anniversary. So
already?
Yeah,
Wow.
already.
Of running this event?
Running this event.
That's amazing. You've been doing it already, 10 years. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Next year will be 10 years. That's fantastic, Jeff. Well, thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
And thinking of the police officers, the police athletic program, all that you're doing with your wife and your family is fantastic.
It's just a way to give back to the town,
Oh, it's great.
We just along with Hart Pond, and we've become very involved in the community, and trying to give back to the town for everything they've done for us.
Yes. I take a lot of photos, as you know, at Hart Pond, right?
Oh, yes.
And you probably see them on Facebook. And I'll never forget, I always just see you there on the riding lawnmowers.
Yeah.
I remember in the season, you take care of the grass there a lot in the whole area quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah. We, you know, I'll go down
As the
there
open
and-
space steward.
As the open space steward, you know, go down and try to make it, you know, keep the grass cut. We planted some trees down there. Also, you know, we remove the trash, keep it nice and clean for people to really enjoy. And I think what Barbara and I really enjoy about that is, and you know, when you see kids, you know, just when you see that smile on a kid's face and families enjoying the activities there and through other open spaces, we you know, really kind of touches us in the heart.
Oh, it should.
That's what
It's
it's all
fantastic.
about.
And then we have the new monument there today, the
Yes.
Hart Pond monument, and mentions your son's name and everything.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And there's some flowers planted there at the moment. I don't know how long they'll last before the frost comes
Exactly.
in. But they've been
Exactly.
doing well so far, because I bike by them almost every day.
It's a beautiful,
When-
beautiful stone that was
Yeah.
engraved and etched, and you know, it really kind of chokes me up and my family when they put the park dedicated in memory of my son Ryan, and quite an honor. And you know, hats off to the community. You know, the selectmen, Bob Morris, everybody was involved, and
With community preservation
community
fund, trying to
preservation
help
fund.
fund that.
Exactly.
Great.
And you know, every time I go down there and take a look at that, it just you know, just very heartwarming. What a great community Chelmsford is.
It is. Oh, it's wonderful.
So.
And that Hart Pond, it's a tremendous, I call it like the jewel of Chelmsford in terms of an outdoor space. It's so beautiful there. And I've taken so many photos. It's amazing. And,
Exactly.
paintings. I'm doing all kinds of stuff about that Hart Pond. I love it.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for all that you do there, Jeff.
Oh, I
It's
appreciate it.
tremendous.
We enjoy it.
Thanks. Well, maybe if we can go back to Chris for another big issue for the Chelmsford Conservation Commission, and that, of course, is Oak Hill. I think we've had a committee to look into Oak Hill for over a year now, and the Chelmsford Conservation Commission is very involved in Oak Hill as well. And so could you tell us what's going on with Oak Hill, and how many acres it is and where it's located?
Sure, yeah, Carmen, yeah. I mean, Oak Hill, 66 acres of land in North Chelmsford.
Owned by the town?
Owned by the town,
Yeah.
owned by the town, and it's there, and it's really a wonderful piece of property.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's again, if you haven't walked it, I mean, there's wonderful trees. It's just a really
It's
nice,
gorgeous.
great place to walk in.
Where could people get in to walk it? Where would
Well,
they park
access,
it?
you know, access is one of
Yeah,
the
one of
issues.
the
Access is one of the issues, and that's what and one of the things the study committee has been doing, is spending a lot of time working on studying, you know, where can you get access and where is the best access, because it's a little bit limited. I mean, right now there is some access if you go up to the old landfill. There's a little bit of area there you can get some access in, or you can come in from behind. We've got the Deep Brook Reservation, so there's some land, and it's not, one of the nice things is we've got the Deep Brook Reservation really butts it and adjacent to it, so they kind of would combine it together.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful, because you also have the Sportsman's Club out there with some range shooting
Oh,
going on as well,
geez.
too.
Oh, my
So,
God.
you know, you want to make sure you're careful where you go. So, but yeah, the study committee's been working really hard and very diligently on evaluating, you know, what are the possible uses for the property. And obviously, you know, I'm on Conservation Commission, so my bias was certainly, I thought it was a great site for conservation purposes. But they've been, you know, objectively evaluating the site to see what the site could be used for, and, you know, studying it very diligently. And from my understanding, we have a representative from the Concom that's on that committee as well, Dave, that's been attending the meetings, and he's reporting to us that it seems to be moving forward, and it appears that, you know, conservation certainly appears to be the direction the committee is going forward to in their search, and they're looking at, like, you know, some of the options around the use of the property. But it's 66 acres. I mean, you know, if you like the outdoors, and if you like hiking and walking, and, you know, you can take you know, kids out there. You know, scouts. I know I've been active with the scouts, so I love places where you can camp and get out and
they could camp
you
there?
know, could be, again, you have to work at some of the issues. We got to be careful about you know, some of the use issues. But to me, it looks like a potential there. And then in the winter, you've got the snowshoeing and the cross-country skiing, and just getting out in the winter. You know, so it's a great site, and I think it's you know, 66 acres. The town owns it already, so it's not going to cost the town any more additional funds. And the committee's working diligently, and I would expect, you know, Evan, you might be closer than I, even as to when the committee's going to make a decision.
The
But
spring town meeting.
Yeah,
is,
I think so,
is the
right.
report to town meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the committee that got together for Oak Hill will make a recommendation maybe at Springtown meeting. And it would either be to go into the Conservation Commission control, right? Or maybe, I understand the Board of Selectmen maybe for a few years. Those are the two options, to keep it with the Board of Selectmen maybe thinking about how they might want to use it for the next 5 years. Did you hear that, Chris, or am I?
I think
Have
I've
you not
heard, I
heard
think
that?
I heard that the other day as a
okay.
possibility as well too.
Yeah.
And you know, again, I mean, the nice thing is the land is there,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
protected, and it's you know, it's there for natural uses and open space and all that. So,
Yeah.
and again, I know myself and others, I mean, you know, the idea would be to preserve the land and keep it in its natural state
Right.
as something that would be there forever.
Yeah.
So, as long as that happens, I'm really happy. And if it's under the care and protection of the selectmen for a period of time where they evaluate it further, you know, that's okay. I mean, ultimately, I'm hopeful that will end up being conservation land, and that would be great if that happens.
Yes, yeah. Great, thanks, Chris. Well, maybe, Evan, if I could ask you something else too, which we have something called the Odd Fellows Building in the center of Chelmsford, which is across the street from the Chelmsford gift shop, just to get people idea what I'm talking about. There's a parking lot in back of it. It used to be a bank many years ago. It's a white building in the center. It's kind of deteriorating a little bit now because it's been empty for a number of years. We don't own the building, unfortunately, and is there anything that could be done to get that either sold to somebody locally and somehow to get it renovated and used properly here in Chelmsford? Is there anything in the works on that?
Well, the town over the last probably 18 months has been in touch and contact with the leaseholder as well as the property owner. And again, it's unfortunate, but it's a complicated real estate situation where Sovereign Bank holds a lease. I believe that lease has another 5 to 7 years on it. The property owner is an entity out in California. So the town, as I indicated, has made contact with both of those entities. But as you can imagine, although the property is currently being marketed, if you go by it, you'll see a telephone number, and they will do showings. But the challenge and difficulty is if you're an investor, if you want to open a restaurant or something in there, to front that money and then not know what happens 5 or 7 years from now. Most entrepreneurs or investors or lending institutions view that as a high risk venture. So that's the short-term challenge. Simultaneously, as you indicated, the town does have concerns with the structural integrity of that building. It's in the town's historic district, so the Historic District Commission has made direct contact with the property owner via their jurisdiction. The Historical Commission is exploring building maintenance bylaws and so forth to ensure that structures of that historical significance are properly maintained, even if they're vacant.
Great.
And I believe most recently there's indications of people considering purchasing the property via eminent or taking it by eminent domain. So it's clearly
We always have that option, don't we?
It's a drastic measure.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
clearly this is a building that is very important to the
Yeah.
community, to the downtown,
Yes.
and one that rises to a level of importance where some would consider a drastic measure such as eminent domain.
Yes.
What's more interesting beyond the building is the parking lot behind the building, and that's kind of the forgotten component
yes.
of that property. That currently is available for free public parking, and unfortunately it's kind of a lost resource that could serve the downtown. If you drive by there, many people don't even know that there is free
know, it's
public parking
fantastic.
back there. But upwards of 80 spaces back there.
It's great. We need it too. In the
Certainly
sometimes.
needed. It's hidden, so it's
Yeah.
signage and visibility and access are a challenge. But if we can get the word out that people know it's there and can use it,
Yes.
then certainly that would generate some additional public interest in the property.
Nice. Thanks, Evan. Thanks. Well, Christine, if I could ask you, you brought in the calendar, right? The tattoo calendar?
I did.
Maybe if we could talk a little bit about that. And you could explain maybe what it is and where people could buy it if they want to buy it.
Yeah, actually, our YA librarian, Sharon Colvin, and a bunch of children's librarians across the state who are tattooed, put together this calendar as a fundraiser, and it's available. Sharon does have a limited supply at the library, and it is also available on the MLA website, so that you can go and purchase it. I believe there's a link on our website too, where you can get this.
Oh.
And they just thought it would be kind of a neat idea to banish stereotypes of librarians, you know, kind of like the Donna Reed and It's a Wonderful Life there.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
Stereotypes.
yeah.
So
So-
they're showing that, and they have pictures of these various librarians with their tattoos.
They do.
Photographed.
Tastefully
And
photographed.
tastefully. Oh, yeah. So,
So-
and they mentioned where the tattoo was.
Yep.
Who did the tattooing?
For the most part, they do. I'm not sure if this one has it, but a lot of them do have where they got
Where
their
they got the
tattoos
tattoo,
and
yeah.
what library they work in.
Yes,
So.
yeah. Great, well,
Yeah.
thank you very much,
Yeah.
Christine. You know, we have another big event going on this Thursday in Chelmsford, which is, we have a beech tree in the center of town. It's about 120 years old. And this Thursday, 2 days from today, it's scheduled to be torn down, sawed down or whatever. But leaving maybe an 8-foot base of the trunk, if the insects haven't damaged it, which I think is a great idea, to have a wood sculptor come in and sculpt a nice design out of that trunk. So you know all about that, right, Jeff?
Well, yeah, I've heard a lot about it, and I spent a lot of time down there, and it's unfortunate that when you take a look at it, you saw all the tree itself being held together by chain and all that type of thing, and then this last storm that we had really didn't do well for the tree, and so on that combined, I believe they've gone out and taken a look at the tree, the condition of the tree and everything, and I think the Board of Selectmen recently just decided that, yeah, it should come down. From what I understand, though, is there's some cuttings and clippings that what they're doing is they're rooting those now, and what they're going to do is try to get those to grow, and hopefully from that one tree we'll have all these little trees that we could plant around town.
Which would be great.
Which would be fantastic.
And maybe one of them back in the center in the same spot?
Yes,
I think that'd be great, because people can't realize, but you look at a little twig now, but 30, 40 years in the future, it'll be really big.
Absolutely.
And it'd be wonderful. Oh, and there's going to be a sign there, too, in the center, I believe. The selectmen talked about to mention how the tree was there and all of that.
I was excited to read about exactly like you said, that they may leave a section of the trunk of the tree and potentially do some carving, or even with some of the other parts of the tree, some other things that they might be able to use this for.
Well, that's good. I know a lot of people are sad about losing a 120-year-old tree, as we all are, except if they're not healthy and they're dangerous, and those limbs might fall down. I mean, the selectmen had no choice,
it's a safety issue
apparently.
at this point, it really is.
You really sometimes have to bite the bullet.
Exactly.
So,
So,
well, thanks, Jeff.
absolutely.
I don't know if our director, Pete Padula, could maybe get in, and maybe get a one-shot or something. But we have some new items. Pete, do you want to, maybe I'll talk to Evan first, and then we could come back to this, okay, Pete? And we'll get a one-shot later. But Evan, we have a nice new commercial development coming up at the, on Chelmsford, Littleton Road, a little development of a Subway sandwich shop, a Honeydew Donuts, and a gas station, where it was commercially zoned previously, but it was like a deteriorated house was there, and office was just torn down. And I think the planning board recently approved that project to go forward. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that project, Evan, and when it might be completed? Because I'm looking forward to the donuts and the sandwiches. I could do without the gas. I can get the gas.
As am I. So the planning board went through a multi-month, multi-meeting, thorough, comprehensive review of that project. And they did issue the special permits and site plan for the project that you described. And just within the last 2 weeks, the structures have been demolished. And so that's a very exciting project. It's along Littleton Road, which is a commercially zoned corridor, but doesn't really have a lot of retail conveniences that we would see in a typical Chelmsford commercial corridor like a Chelmsford Street. And it's surprising because there's a lot of residential developments along Littleton Road.
Yes, yeah.
So it appears as though the project was well received by the community. There wasn't tremendous public opposition. There were some abutters that expressed concerns, and the planning board did work with them to resolve those matters in a reasonable fashion.
Yes.
So that building permit should be issued relatively soon. If there's a mild winter, they'd be able to proceed with construction straight through winter.
So maybe by spring it should be up and running.
Yep.
And the gas station, it's true, I think along that place in Littleton Road, halfway like through Chelmsford Center and up by Westford, there's not really any gas stations, really, I don't think. And if this is a nice new, well-run gas station, combined with the Subway shop, and which I think makes great sandwiches, and the Honeydew Donuts, I think it'll be a nice little development. It's commercially zoned, so I even wrote on the patch supporting that a couple of times. A couple of people, opposed what I was writing, but that happens all the time, But I think generally the entire community pretty much, other than some of the abutters, would be in favor of something like that. Because as long as it's zoned properly, not in somebody's neighborhood or whatever, if it's zoned properly and it'll benefit the community, plus bring in some additional tax revenues, I think it's great.
Sure.
So
This was
wonderful.
a very high quality development. The planning board spent a lot of time on the architectural style of it, high quality landscaping, low impact lighting. So I think aesthetically, I think the community will be very pleased with it.
Yeah, I was reading about that too. The design's supposed to be nice. Something like, we didn't talk about the CVS at all in the center, but that came out pretty nice.
That's also very well
It looks
received.
nice. Do you know when we're going to be able to get rid of those sticks next to the trees that hold it straight? These little
Yeah,
sticks?
it's usually 2 years.
About 2 years,
Yeah. Again, if you have the freak storms that come through, you definitely want those the stakes
in the beginning,
yeah,
first couple of years.
until the trees to really take root.
Yeah, but once they're gone, I think it'll look
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
better and nicer. And hopefully when that other development back gets taken care of, as we talked about earlier in the show, that'll be really great. So many people are concerned about that. You read it on Facebook and the patch, and people really want something done there, as we all do in the center sometime. Well, Pete, you do have that one shot there. I want to show people, I'm on the board of directors of the Chelmsford Historical Society, and we have these brand new items that some people might look for stocking stuffers, they call them, or little $4 presents for different Chelmsford people. And this is a $4 coaster that, it was an idea of Deb Kripkowski, who worked on this. It's a new item that the Chelmsford Historical Society is selling this year. So these are coasters that, with the town seal, we have it in black with gold writing, or a light color with black writing. Oh, this is a Chelmsford Town seal, if you could see. Yeah, you could see that there. And we also have one that says Chelmsford, Massachusetts, 1655. And so these are $4 each, or 4 for $15. And the Chelmsford Historical Society is having our annual holiday fair very soon on December 7th on a Friday night, 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. over at the Barrett Byam Historical Homestead. If you all haven't been there to that party, please stop by. It's a lot of fun. The fireplace is lit. This is an old house, and we have there's Christmas tree up. There's little cookies and desserts, some cider, things like that. So it's a lot of fun. Very low key, but a nice. Oh, I think some of the garden club or something is going to bring in some flowers too, to go along with the exhibits. And you could come and see some of the historical things. In addition to the coasters, new items at the Historical Society too are note cards like this with the town seal. These are note cards with an envelope, and these are $1 each. And we also have the 1802 schoolhouse, those note cards. So these could be purchased either at the Barrett Byam House or the town offices, the town manager's office. I just brought them over there today. Or at Lynn Marcella's secretarial shop on Alpine Lane. She's nice enough to offer her company to sell these nice little items. So I quickly mention that for anybody who's looking for some little nice Christmas presents for Chelmsfordians. I think they might like it. So what else do you think we should talk about next? Anybody have any ideas? I have a few ideas here, but burying the wires in the center. I was just talking to the town manager. He said maybe in a couple of months that might be completed, 2 or 3 months, right, Evan?
Right.
Isn't that going to look great? I
gonna be
remember
beautiful.
lobbying for that as a town meeting rep like 12, 15 years ago at town meeting speaking about it. Because I think the town center is going to look so much better when all those ugly wires are underground.
Yeah,
but now
absolutely.
we've learned with all these hurricanes, it's much safer. I mean, you could keep your power on a lot longer, probably, with buried wires.
Right.
So really, eventually, we should look at maybe doing that throughout the town someday. Because all these wires with all the trees in Chelm Street and all these, like you live in Andover, right, Evan? And
Very
it's
similar,
suburban, the
yep.
same. And you can't help it. Look, poor New Jersey. Some of the people were without power well over 2 weeks, and some lost their houses. It's amazing. So anyway, that's a new thing that's going to happen. Also, people could look in the center because this coming Sunday is our annual holiday prelude and tree lighting ceremony from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's Sunday, December 2nd, right, Evan? And Jeff, do you probably go with your family?
Yeah, we'll be there.
And Chris, and hopefully Christine may, what town do you live in, Christine? I'm sorry.
I live in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Oh, so it'll take you a little while to get there.
A little bit.
If you wanted to come by, 4 to 6 p.m. I'll be dishing out the hot chocolate with the town
Hot
manager as I do
chocolate,
every
all
year.
right, there we go.
That's my little job. But, and there's hot dogs, there's cider by the Fish Bones, gives out clam chowder, I mean. So there's all kinds of wonderful things. The tree is lit that day at about 5 o'clock. Oh, there's a horse-drawn carriage. That's great for the kids, love that. So anyway, that's a lot going on. What else we have? Oh, is there going to be a walkway by Beaver Brook, Evan? I hear about that every once in a while. You know, over by
Sure,
CVS
yeah.
on the side, there's Beaver Brook. And some people thought maybe someday we'll get a nice walkway along there, which we could.
That's a vision that was incorporated in a 1998 plan, and the current Center Village Master Planning Committee is revisiting that. So it's still a viable vision, probably some ways in the future.
Ways in the future, yeah.
But it's another example of the town, you know, having a real significant vision for their downtown.
Wonderful. Well, that'll be great.
Yeah.
But this coming weekend also, on the Saturday, I mentioned the Sunday at the Chelm Prelude, but the day before we have a lot of activities in town that I want to quickly mention because I'm involved in a lot of these organizations, but the Garrahan House, they're going to have their annual craft show that day, Saturday, December 1st. Begins at about 8:30 that morning until early afternoon. So if you want to see some of these colonial crafts, it's you go to the Garrahan House on Garrison Road, and there's a beautiful development there. I don't know if you've seen that, Christine, but it's wonderful. It's getting to be like that old development over in the middle of Mass. I forgot what it's called right now. Sturbridge Village, is it?
All right.
Anyway, it's getting to be really big. It's really nice. Also, we have our farm fair at Agway, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the farmer's market, I should say. And the Billerica Cat Care Coalition, one of my favorite organizations that I work with, is going to be there. So I'm going to be over at the, and I'm going to be volunteering at the First Parish Fair, the holiday fair, from 11 to 1.
You're going to be busy.
Yeah, busy. And then I'm going to run over to see the cats, be with them from 1 to 2. But then head back to the Chelmsford Center for the Arts for this free radio program, this old-time radio. Please
it's
stop
sold
over
out.
there. And so hopefully I'll see you Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Thank you very much, Chris Garrahan, for being here.
It was great being here, Carmen. Thank you.
Thanks. 14th time. Thank you very much, Christina. Hopefully it was enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks, Jeff. You did a wonderful job.
Carmen, it was a pleasure.
Thank you. Hopefully it's the first of many times for
Yes.
all of you.
Appreciate
and
it.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
My
Evan. You did
pleasure.
a wonderful job. And it's great to see you all on the show. I've been waiting a long time to get you on the show. And thank you, our wonderful crew here. We have George and Azora and Larry and our director, Pete Padula. Thank you very much. You do a great job every 2 weeks when we do a show. And if you have any comments on the show, please send me an email at tcristiano@comcast.net. And you also could talk to me this weekend at all these town events. Oh, Chelmsford Art Society tomorrow night too. I'll see you there maybe at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts. Well, thank you very much for watching the show. Carmen Tom Christiano. Ciao.